It's the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast with your hosts, the Wolf and Action Jackson, who are keeping rock alive by talking classic rock, hard rock, progressive rock, heavy metal, 80s music, early MTV, UK vs. US chart success, and much more. This is the home of classic album and live concert reviews and your place for interviews with artists and legends. You're rocking with the Wolf. Out there, rock and rollers. Welcome to episode number 256 of the Ugly American Werewolf in London Rock Podcast. Brought to you by me, your host, Mac B. the Wolf, and I will be joined, as always, by my partner in crime from the East Coast of the United States, Mr. Gary Action Jackson. And this is a very special edition of The Wolf. As we're veering off, we're not doing an artist interview this week. We're not reviewing a classic album that we love or is a big part of rock and roll history. We're not even reviewing a live show, though we will have some cool live show reviews coming up soon. No, this is a hot take on some very big news in the rock world, and that is that Rush, or at least the surviving members of Rush, Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, are touring again in 2026 to celebrate the life of their amazing drummer and fallen comrade Neil Peart, and to celebrate their catalog of extraordinary music. Now, longtime listeners of the show know that Rush is one of the Wolf's very, very favorite bands. Top 3 all time. And then, you know, for our 250th episode, which was not so long ago, we interviewed Mr. Hugh Syme, who has done all of their artwork since Caress of Steel in 1975. Of course, we talked to him about that and some of the stuff about his artwork coming alive on stage with the boys. He didn't reveal anything to us at that time, of course, because he couldn't. But of course, he does have great new artwork representing the boys with 2 little birds on a wire together. One third one has flown, and now they're sitting over a stoplight. The stoplight, which now is green for go, which means the boys can tour again. And they're welcoming Anika Nilles, not very well known around the world, and maybe somewhat of a surprise that you would employ a woman instead of, say, Mike Portnoy or one of the usual suspects. But the Wolf did get to see her play with Johnny Depp and Jeff Beck in Royal Albert Hall while he was still living in London, and we talk about that a little bit here on the show. Basically, all the Rush fans are incredibly excited about all of this, and they announced the 12 or so dates. Now, so you know, we did this hot take about a day and a half after the original announcement. So we're talking in anticipation of tickets going on sale and where we might go see them. Between the recording of this and the release, they did add more dates. They almost doubled the number of dates, certainly in the big cities like LA, New York, Chicago, Fort Worth. They doubled the number of shows. I think they also added a second Cleveland show because they're so huge in Cleveland, because there was overwhelming demand for these tickets. And there's plenty of gaps in the schedule, so if they wanted to add more, they could. They could maybe even come to Europe, which they didn't do on their very last tour, and I know a lot of European fans would love that. So you have to understand that when we're talking about the dates, they hadn't added the additional dates yet. And since we recorded that, the tickets did go on sale. And you know how disappointed I was to get shut out of the Oasis reunion ticket sales when they first went on. So we wanted to do everything in our power to make sure we were not going to miss out on the reunion of Rush. Whether or not we got tickets or not, well, you're going to have to wait to the end of the show to hear that. But you can hear our excitement about the only band that Jackson and I ever camped out for tickets for, getting back together one more time to celebrate their legacy and just to give Neil a proper send-off. When he died, it was quickly COVID after that, and there was not a whole lot they could do. Plus, they weren't sure if it really made sense for them to do anything. Now that time has passed, they have the blessing of Neil's family, and they're itching to go out and do something. They're going to do an evening with Rush in about 7 different cities over multiple nights. So they don't have to travel far. They can just stay in, LA for a week or more, go to Chicago for a week or more, go to New York for a week or more. They're not just in and out of hotel rooms and on planes over all the time. They can just kind of camp out in one city for, 7 to 10 days, enjoy themselves, and then move on. It's hugely exciting news, and the announcement of Anika being in it, well, I'm sure that spiked her Q score or the number of folks visiting her social media sites in a big way right overnight. It's the band I've seen the most, 12 times. I always promised my daughter that if there's any chance that they would play, I would take her. So as a father, I feel obligated to give it my best shot. But when Neil died, when we were living in London, I figured that's it. It's never going to happen, and I'm sorry, sweetheart. And though it won't be the same, I think it'll be a lot of fun to be with the Rush heads, to celebrate this music one more time, and to see Geddy and Alex having fun together, as they have for most of all of their lives. But first, we do have a little bit of business to take care of. We love to mention we are proud members of the Pantheon Podcast Network, a family of over 100 different shows. You can learn more at pantheonpodcast.com or follow on socials at Pantheon Pods. And we love giving shout outs to our worldwide intergalactic sponsor, rarevinyl.com. I know a lot of you are record collectors. Rarevinyl.com has stuff from all over the world, more than 250,000 items in stock. They procure it from everywhere. They ship it to everywhere. And yes, they have a lot of killer Rush stuff. And they gave us a code, UGLY, UGLY, that if you use it at checkout, you can save 10% off one entire order. Not just one item or the most expensive item, but everything in your basket. So you want to go get that original Caress of Steel print, go get it. You want to get some tour programs. Hugh Syme and Rush have come out with some amazing tour programs over the years. Go get those. Go get some rare imports or some CDs that are hard to find. Put them all in your basket, use UGLY, and save a big fat 10% at checkout. So visit rarevinyl.com, use the code UGLY, save 10%. Your record collection will thank you. Now back to Rush. I'd always hoped that this would happen. I always hoped they would eventually say, hey, we're not even going to necessarily tour as Rush. We're just going to go out and celebrate the music of Rush. We'll find a drummer or maybe a couple, and we'll go out and give not only Neil a great send-off, we'd say one more thank you to the fans. Say, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Here's our music that we're proud of. Remember to stay tuned to see whether or not we're going to be going and if we're going to go and where we might be going. But in the meantime, here's our hot take on Rush getting back together in 2026 here on The Wolf. All right. Well, Jackson, I figured we had done our Rush quota this year. Because, earlier in the year, first show of the year was Fly By Night at 50. We did a great first concert memories with our buddy Brad Page from I'm in Love with That Song, talking about a mini tour right between Permanent Waves and Moving Pictures. That was great. We interviewed the legendary artist Hugh Syme on our 250th episode, talking about all the work he had done with Rush. And then the next one, 251, was on Caress of Steel, also at 50. So I'm like, that's 4 shows out of 64, whatever it is. That's plenty. I mean, I love Rush and everything, but
right,
that's enough. And then the biggest, most surprising announcement, to me, more surprising than the Oasis reunion.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. And yeah, you said we were done because, we covered a lot of ground and, they're no longer touring or putting out new music. So no problem. I thought it was a joke. I had to go to 4 or 5 other things just to be sure. I'm like, there's way too easy to mess with me because there's no way this is happening. There's no way this is a real deal. I'm like, it's not April. Wait, stop it. What are you doing? And then the Rush nerddom, fandom, whatever you want to call it, went insane.
Yeah,
it's just it's everywhere now.
Exploded. Yeah. No, I don't know what I was doing, something else. And I come back to, because I'm on social media for the show. I try not to be on it for any other reason. And then I flip back to check a few things out, and there's a video of Alex and Geddy. And Alex goes, "We're going to tour." And Geddy just starts laughing. And so I'm like, okay, yeah, they're messing with us,
Yeah.
Or it's a tour of like their stuff. It's like a traveling tour of like a museum, basically. And you can go see maybe, outfits or some instruments or, key pieces of their history, that kind of thing. Like that's the kind of tour they're going to do. And I'm like, that's crazy. But of course, I've been on the Rush mailing list for a very long time. And they sent me a thing, said, hey, an email. Yeah, there's going to be a tour and you need to click here to be eligible for the pre-sale, which will be Monday, October 13th. Now, this is going to come out after October 13th. So we'll see whether or not we get any tickets. But yeah, it was, I'll read some of what they released here. This is from Geddy. It's been over 10 years since Alex and I have performed the music of Rush alongside our fallen bandmate and friend Neil. A lifetime's worth of songs that we had put our cumulative hearts and souls into writing, recording, and playing together on stage. And so, after all that has gone down since the last show, Alex and I have done some serious soul searching and come to the decision that we fucking miss it and that it's time for a celebration of 50-something years of Rush music. So in 2026, my BFF Lyricist, a.k.a. Alex Lifeson, and I are going to hit the road once again to pay tribute to our past and to Neil by performing a vast selection of Rush songs in a handful of cities. No small task, because we all know Neil was irreplaceable. And here's how it goes on, and this is the interesting part. Yet life is full of surprises, and we have been introduced to another remarkable person, an incredible drummer and musician who's adding another chapter to our story while continuing her own fascinating musical journey. Her name is Anika Nilles, and we could not be more excited to introduce her to our loyal and dedicated Rush fan base, whom we know will give her every chance to live up to that near impossible role. Now, of course, we're coming back to Anika in a bit. Before we hit the stage, we also hope to add another musician or two to expand our sound a wee bit and free up Alex and I in order to show off some of our fancy new dance steps. Lyricist Anika and myself, along with many of our long-standing crew members, have been hard at work rehearsing and designing the kind of Rush show you've grown accustomed to expect from us. We dearly hope you will come along and help us celebrate our history together. Like a bomb. Just
Yeah. Because the video that I saw, they were in a studio. Mm-hmm. I think it was Geddy's basement or somewhere. And so, yeah, they're just sitting there saying, we got together, it was very painful, but then years go by and we start to play the songs and it's, hey, this feels pretty good. We really enjoy playing this music. What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? Maybe. Yeah, let's do this. Because, in 2015, when they stopped touring, they didn't want to stop. It was Neil who was over the whole thing.
Right.
So I said, okay, well, unanimous decision. We're in this together. If he's stopping, we're stopping. Everything's cool. We're fine. It's great. They weren't fine. They weren't great. They still had that itch. Obviously, after he passed, it was too painful to even think about. But time goes by and okay. They did reunite I know they did the Taylor Hawkins tribute. And then I think they did something else and it was like, hey, it's weird to play with somebody that's not Neil, but it's a one-shot deal, whatever, but still feels pretty good. And then I don't know, there was a deal where I guess the Geddy's bass tech was working for Jeff Beck and said, you got to check this woman out. She is amazing. Well, maybe. And that's another thing too, like Rush and a woman, okay, doesn't really go together.
Well, yeah, it'll add to the number of women in the show by at least 10 or 20%. That's for sure. But no, so I don't know. I guess his bass tech was working with Rhonda Smith, who is a badass bass player, and she's been touring with Jeff. She had toured with Jeff Beck for years. I saw Jeff play 4 times over, I don't know how many years, probably close to a decade. She was with him every time. Mm. She's awesome. I recently saw a thing with Orianthi, who's, if you follow rock stars on social media, Ori's going to pop up at some point because she's constantly taking pictures of herself. Yes. And she is, I'd say she was striking. I'll use that word. She does capture your attention briefly. And she's a pretty darn good guitar player, but I don't know if that's really what she's pushing these days. I think she's pushing her look a lot more than she's pushing, I'm really good at guitar. That's another story. But she was with Rhonda and another woman talking about, women in rock, and they recorded some stuff together. That's cool. Rhonda's badass. As we did on it was a show in the 90s, not the 1990s, but Ugly American Werewolf in London show in the 90s somewhere, where we reviewed Jeff Beck live with Johnny Depp. And we actually did their album a little bit too.
Yeah.
But I'd seen them in Royal Albert Hall. And I remarked on the show that they had this great female drummer. And Jeff was always great about having women in his band. He had Tal Wilkenfeld for a long time. He had Rhonda, as I mentioned. And he had Vinnie Colada on the drums, who was just an amazing drummer. Berklee School of Music type, can play really anything. But he wasn't there. I was kind of disappointed because I'd always wanted to see him again. And there's this woman back there. And I'm like, well, she's actually pretty good. At the time, I remember I couldn't find her name to save my life. I'm searching who is Jeff Beck's drummer? What is her name? Jeff Beck's female drummer. I got a picture, but I couldn't get any names out of it. Well, now we know it's Anika Nilles. And I remember her being really good. Not shockingly, though, because Jeff Beck can kind of get whoever he wants to play with him.
Right. And then that was the thing. I was searching because they just gave her name. And so, and then I'm like, well, okay. And then as I'm watching the rest of this, I'm trying to find her. And then, he goes into the guy, what's his name? Sully or Scully or, oh, yeah, I'm on tour with Jeff Beck. As soon as he said Jeff Beck, I said, well, there you go. End of story. Because you can't, it doesn't matter what you look like. If you can't play at a super high level, he's not going to have you in the band.
You're not going to be in Jeff Beck's band, yeah.
Correct.
Unless you're Johnny Depp, but that's a different
story. And especially on the drums, because it's not like, like Johnny Depp can sit there and play chords off to the side. No one really cares. The drummer is is driving the engine here. So yeah, it's once they said that, I said, well, okay, she's obviously very good at what she does. And then they were describing, they brought her to Canada, not as an audition, but more as an experiment. Like, can we still do this? We don't even know. And so once they felt comfortable, then it's like, okay, now we can move forward. And the other interesting thing that you said is, besides the dance moves, more musicians. Like, they're going to get a keyboard player. So that now Geddy, he's obviously still going to have the keyboard. He's going to play the big keyboard parts.
Right.
But now you free him up if you've got somebody kind of off to the side that can play the melody parts, and then maybe even throw some other stuff in. It just frees him up, round the sound out a little bit.
Yeah, and they may get another guitar player too. So if in case when things are overdubbed over stuff, Alex doesn't have to choose which bits to play, and it will fatten up their sound. I mean, that was kind of always the thing. It's just the three of us. We will always just tour as just the three of us. Well, now that they can't do that anymore, they're not beholden to that.
Right. Suddenly it frees up a whole bunch of other options.
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be anything anymore. Let's just explore the space.
Yeah, and they can just really fatten up their sound a little bit there. And they said it will be an evening with, which is no surprise because it was that way the last 30 years of their career or whatever it was.
No offense, but I don't want to see anybody else. I just want to, they'll probably have a little show or vignette or something that they've made, probably a tribute to Neil, I would imagine, and then go into the show.
Well, so it's funny you say that, because when we had Hugh on the show, we talked to him about, hey, isn't it cool when, it's great that you make these cool album covers or whatever, but isn't it cool when the boys go on tour and they can bring this stuff to life, like with inflatable rabbits coming out of hats, like you saw on the Presto and Roll the Bones tour, or, the video screens behind them now can do amazing things. He's like, oh, yeah, that's a trip or whatever. He's holding his cards close to the vest because he knew at that point when talking to us. Obviously, he couldn't say anything, but you know that he's working on stuff like that. But because he was so adamant about not saying that, he let slip that there is going to be a Grace Under Pressure 40th coming out at some point. Yeah, June 23rd, there's rumors about a commemorative box set. Well, guess what? There's one coming because Hugh said so. He submitted his stuff to it back in August, I think, is when we interviewed him. So that's coming. But he kept the big news, the big fat news, under wraps. And I got to believe that Anika Nilles, and is it Nilles? Is it Nilles? Is it Niles? It's only fitting that they would get a drummer whose name is mispronounced to replace Neil Peart. Or is it Peart? It only makes sense. They know what they're doing. They know how to keep their fans happy. But she must be, I don't know if she's the most Googled person in the world, because that's probably someone like Donald Trump or Kim Kardashian or somebody, Taylor Swift, like that. But the greatest increase from the day before they announced this to the day they did she has to be the most increase of Google searches in the world, because no one knew who she was.
Right. And I know that I did that. I know that I've been on her YouTube channel and seen the clinics and stuff that she's been a part of. And I've watched a couple of the Johnny and Jeff Beck clips. Yeah, just to see what she's all about. Really, you don't need to. If they tell you, if Rush tells you this is a drummer, obviously they've done their homework. I'm just wondering what she's going to do as far as playing the drums. I don't think it's going to be a note for note recreation. I think she'll hit the stuff that you expect, that you really,
the signature bits.
Correct. Yeah, and the fills. But other than that, it's probably, you probably, you got a little room to walk this around. Kind of like when we saw Iron Maiden. I'm like, it's not going to be a note for note deal. That would be ridiculous. And
Hmm.
obviously, and Simon's drum kit is not the same as Nico's. So
Right.
there's stuff that's missing. So I think that that's what it's going to be. If you listen out for the big stuff, you're going to hear it. But then other than that, I think maybe she'll kind of do her own thing.
Well, that's kind of the big question. And it isn't unusual to see people doing air guitar and stuff like that at different shows. But at
Hmm.
Rush shows, you would see people doing the air drums a lot
Yeah.
more than you do at any other shows. A lot of his bits, I would say, are signature, are things that people look forward to, that they like to hear, that they want to see. There's no way she's going to put together his whole kit. And I've already started to read some of the stuff on the forums and stuff. People are like, it would be disrespectful to use one of Neil's kits. And
Correct.
I don't
Yeah.
think that she even would want to do that. So she's got her own kit, and maybe she's going to outfit it with some more things to pick up some of the different pieces. But yeah, and I got to believe that somewhere Mike Portnoy is going, what the fuck? This is my gig. And what the actual fuck?
And I was thinking about that too. Why would you not get him?
Uh-huh.
But then the other thing too is, I mean, it has to be some, and this is no offense to Mike. If you're out there listening, we love you, Mike. It's somebody that you have to be able to work with, like, personality wise. And I don't know, maybe you don't want somebody who's a fanboy. Maybe you want somebody who, I mean, I'm sure, I don't know what her connection to Neil is. I'm sure she knows who he is,
Hmm.
obviously. But I mean, are you like, oh my God, I live and die for every note that he plays on the drums? Or are you like, yeah, I've heard of him. Yeah, he's great. I've got other influences. I don't know. Maybe it would be too distracting to have somebody like Mike play the drums.
I don't know. I got a feeling he would drop everything to do
Oh,
it.
he totally would. He'd do it for free.
Yeah, and the thing is, he is back in Dream Theater now after more than a decade away. I know that,
Mhm.
a lot of people are pretty psyched about that. And, he's in the Winery Dogs this week. Is he in Transatlantic this week? He's in 4 or 5 different bands that are all very good. And a lot of it is because of him. And it might have been they didn't want to go that way. I mean, it's not like they had tryouts. They said, let's just pick the one that jives best with us. I think they just started working with this woman because she had been recommended, like you said, by his bass tech. Said, come check her out. It's like, okay, well, bring her in. Maybe we can play a little bit. I think having an unknown is appealing to them
I think
too.
so, yeah, because it doesn't distract from what they're doing, and obviously she fit in with the way that they want to play their personalities. I mean, obviously they're not going to be touring around in a van together. They'll have their own
Plain.
plane,
Yeah.
buses, whatever. But I mean, you still have to have that chemistry. This is somebody that I would want to hang around with. We get along together. She's going to have to take direction because I know that they do these huge warm-ups.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to have to be like, there's part of it that I'm going to let you play on your own, but there's going to part of it like, if you don't play this right now, we're going to have a problem. So get ready. I'd love to see some of that because they've filmed that for a couple of the theater shows. The movies that they've put out, the rehearsals, that
Yes.
would be fantastic to see that.
Hi, this is Steve Howe of Yes, and you're listening to The Ugly American Werewolf in London.
All right. Well, they have announced 12 dates in North America, which is more than I guess Oasis did, although Oasis played bigger places.
Hmm.
They've got 2 dates in LA in early June, one in Mexico City, June 18th, 2 in Fort Worth, Texas, the end of June, 2 in Chicago in mid-July, 2 in New York at MSG, the end of July, 2 in Toronto, the first week of August, and then 1 in Cleveland, September 17th, which makes sense because Cleveland is where they kind of broke out on the radio. And Donna, the DJ, was the one who really started pushing them. And she's still on. If you guys want to follow her, she's still on waving the Rush flag, at least on socials. I don't know if she's on the radio anymore or not. But, it says if you want tickets in the U.S., I did sign up to get us tickets, to try to get us tickets, which I failed miserably at for Oasis. And then with 3 days to the show, I could have bought really expensive tickets and flown up there at the last second. I just decided not to. If I get tickets to this, we will plan to go. And I even am going to shoot for the weekend show in Chicago.
That would be preferable. That would be very nice. When you said that, I looked, I'm like, oh, that's a Saturday? Well, that's fantastic. Because I think the Oasis show was like on a Wednesday or something.
Yeah, and then I think there was weekend in Toronto, but it was like I just heard all these stories about people having a hard time getting back into the country and stuff like that. I'm like, I'm not going to take a last second trip to Toronto and then get stuck up there. Plus, I wanted to take the Wolf Cub. She would have had to miss school, and I'm like, no, we're not doing this. But I mean, I've had pretty good luck at getting good Rush tickets in the past. I've seen them 12 times. I wouldn't call this Rush. This is a Rush tribute, not a tribute band, but a tribute.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Of course I want to go, and I want to document it here on the show.
Right.
I still just have mixed feelings about the whole thing.
Well, okay. And as do I, but I really think from watching a couple of different things with the gentleman, they really want to do this. It's not like they feel like, well, the fans are maybe we should go out. It doesn't seem like it's a cash grab. It just seems like they really want to do this. They really didn't want to give it up when they did.
Right.
They feel like there was the time. It's not like they went out 2 days after Neil died. That would have been completely disrespectful. It's been several years now, and you're just kind of hanging around like, you know what? We really did love playing this. We really did love being on tour. I think it's I like the fact that their first show is going to be at the Forum in LA, which was apparently the last show they played in 2015. So that's kind of cool. I think they're doing it because they really want to get out there again, and for no other reason.
Well, of course, Neil died in early 2020.
Yeah.
I've spoken on this show about, I was living in London at the time. It was late at night. It was near when Kobe Bryant died, by the way, but it was not super late at night. It was like maybe 10:30. So like the girls were asleep, and I'm just sitting on my iPad, and I get news alerts, when the president did this, or there's something going on then, which brings up basically two sentences, and in those two sentences you got to decide if you want to read the article or not. And basically it popped up. It's like Neil Peart, 66, longtime drummer of Rush, ... I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be that he died, because
why else would they trend? Yeah.
We didn't know, of course, that he had brain cancer at the time, but we figured something was up, and we knew he had some health problems on the last tour, and Alex basically had to beg him to go do the last tour. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm having problems with my hand, so this really could be, so if we could do, because I think Neil went in to say, hey, that's it, we're done, I'm retired, thank you. And Alex is like, come on, just one more before I can't do it anymore. He's like, and he's funny because he said he had a battle of Tourette's, just like, why the earth did I say I can fucking do this? I don't want to do it anymore. But they went out great, on top, still in top form, did all sorts of great stuff going back in time. It was awesome. It was a good way. I mean, obviously, would I have liked to see them more? Yes. Would I have liked to see them maybe do a residency somewhere so Neil didn't have to be on the road? Yes. Would I have liked to hear more new music from them? Because you don't have to tour to make new music together. Yes, everyone, I think, is in that boat. But Neil got sick. He had to focus on trying to get better, and then he succumbed to it. And for those of you who are like, well, how does his family feel about this? Because, he died, and then it was COVID. And so we couldn't do a Taylor Hawkins kind of tribute to him because it was COVID for a year and a half or whatever. And they had to work with his family to see what was appropriate. And for a while, I feel like they were planning two different things. Like his family was maybe planning something, and then the boys were planning something. It's like, nah, neither one of them really came together. I'm really not sure what happened there. But then, like you said, time went on, and Alex was working with Envy of None, and, Geddy's got his books to promote and stuff like that. Like, they're keeping busy, but they're not playing Rush songs because they can't, because there is no more Neil. And I think just enough time, I mean, from early 2020 to summer of 2026, it's 6.5 years. Everyone's had time to grieve. Everyone's time to think about this. Everyone's had time to get over, as best they can, the passing of Neil. And for those who say this is wrong, they should do this, further in the statement are some words from Carrie Nuttall Peart and Olivia Peart, Neil's widow and daughter. Okay, they share, we are thrilled to support the 50-something tour, celebrating a band whose music has resonated and inspired fans for generations, and to honor Neil's extraordinary legacy as both a drummer and lyricist. Mm-hmm. Neil's musicianship was singular, compositions of intricacy and power that expanded what rhythm itself could express. As both drummer and lyricist, he is irreplaceable, inimitable in his artistry and unmatched in the depth and imagination he brought to the lyrics that inspired and moved so many. He profoundly shaped how fans connected with him and the band, giving voice and meaning to their own lives. As the band enters its new chapter, it promises to be truly unforgettable. We are excited to see how their new vision unfolds and to hear this legendary music played live once again. So his family's okay with it. You can't be like, oh, his family doesn't want this. They say they do. They say they're good with it. And nobody wants the music to die. No one wants the music to just go away and not be played live again.
And they've mentioned several times, how do you replace someone who is irreplaceable? I don't think anyone is replacing Neil.
No.
It's just they want to keep going. They're going to find somebody else to get in there, but it's not like they're going to erase his memory. Like I said, I would imagine that the evening with is going to be just a giant tribute to him. They'll have stuff all over the place. You know how they work. There'll be bits and pieces of his memory everywhere. On the stage, on the what they're doing in the background, the video screens, everything will be a giant tribute to him. I don't think it's going to be like they're trying to replace him. I think it's going to be it's going to be a tribute to him. No one thinks that this is something that it's not.
Yeah, my guess is, I saw Yes at Royal Albert Hall after Alan White had passed away. And the first few minutes was them it's a tribute to him, showing pictures of him and a little bit of music. And my guess is they'll do something similar. My further guess is because they do one set, they take a break and then they come back. My guess is during that break, maybe not for all of it, but as they warm back up to bring them back on stage, there will probably be video tribute to him again, some more that it may be showing some interviews, maybe showing some of the fun videos they did together as a band, having fun.
Where he's the cop.
Yeah, he's the Irish cop and having a little fun with that. I bet that there's more of that. I bet that there's some positive words from Neil that get spit out of there. My question is the set list.
Okay.
They can go a lot of different directions. They won't just be the R40 set list, I'm sure. Will they bring out some stuff that was dear to Neil that just didn't fit their set list in the past? Like something like Lakeside Park, of him being a kid, being a teenager at, Lakeside Park and the fair and all that kind of stuff. Are there tunes that were special to him that we didn't realize that they're going to break out because they didn't play them live, or they just haven't played them a long time because they just didn't fit what they were doing at the time? Because how else do you do it? Obviously they're going to play Tom Sawyer and, they play some of the big ones. I hope they play Between the Wheels. But what else could they play to really honor him other than just doing the set as best they can? I don't know.
And then that brings up another point too. Of one of the big highlights of the show was always the drum solo. How do you work that in? Having her play a drum solo would be kind of disrespectful, or a lot disrespectful.
Yeah.
So do you just play clips of him playing solos from throughout the years? That would be kind of cool. Everything goes dark. They leave the stage. Video screen comes on, and there he is up there playing what you were there for.
Yeah, playing the rhythm method or whatever. Maybe. Although, at some point, and I can't remember which year it was because I saw every tour from Roll the Bones on, but at some point he would do his solo. They would pump in video and audio of like Buddy Rich doing his crazy stuff, and that he would play along with that.
Oh, so maybe that'll be the same thing. He'll play a little and then she'll play a little. That would be kind of cool.
Maybe they could play sums together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Huh.
Also, I know they're old and they want to space out what they're doing, but there are a lot of times in between these shows. June 7th and 9th in LA, then the 18th in Mexico City, then the 24th and 26th in Fort Worth. Then it's 3 weeks, July 16th and 18th in Chicago. So you could put another couple of dates in between there if you wanted, New York 28th and 30th, Toronto August 7th and 9th, and then it's not till September 17th in Cleveland. That's like 5 weeks later. So if they wanted to say, you know what, we will do a couple nights in Vancouver so we get more Canadian fans involved. We will do a couple nights in, I don't know, Miami or, someplace,
Yeah.
Atlanta or something, someplace in the Southeast or something like that, they could add some.
Well, that's the thing too. I mean, the only thing you can do now is sign up for pre-sale, right? So once that happens, yeah, if these things sell out in 20 minutes, okay, maybe we should add some more dates because obviously the demand is there. And yeah, I mean, if you're in New York for a while, yeah, do you go to Boston? Do you go, Philadelphia, something like that?
Or Denver, get to the mountain region,
Yeah.
give them a chance to see you,
Right. And I understand like this at this point in time, you're going home. Like, it's not like, well, we got to spend 2 weeks in somewhere because we're in a van. No, you fly home. I get it. You want to be home. This is the kind of tour where you space it out enough where you're not getting burned out. But I think you're right. They do have room, depending on how this goes, to add more dates.
Yeah, I mean, they could even go to London in like late August if they wanted to, do a couple of dates there.
London, Ontario?
No, the real London. They're going to be in Toronto. I mean, that's
Sorry,
really close to
Canada.
London, Ontario. So who knows? Yeah, at this age, you're not going to do back-to-backs. You're going to space it out as best you can.
Right.
And yeah, they could do 3 nights or 3 days, basically, living in Chicago or LA or New York or whatever. And then they buzz on back home. But they're not doing this for money. It's not like, oh, we could add dates and make money.
Right.
They don't need it. They don't need the money. And they needed money. Geddy Lee can just sell his baseball collection for tens of millions of dollars.
Or that wine collection he's got. Holy crap.
Right. They do not need money. They never got divorced. They never had drug problems. Mm-hmm. They've done nothing but bank their money all those many years. And I think, didn't Geddy buy a house and then buy the one next to it so he would have more,
so he doesn't deal with anybody? That sounds fantastic. The other thing too that we're talking about is family. We want to spend more time with family. It's been 10 years. The kids are now, I mean, I don't know how old they were in 2015, but it's you get to the point where it's like, well, I stayed home for the kids and now the kids aren't here anymore, so let's get back out there.
But they've got the grandkids now, of course, and people want to spend a lot more time with their grandkids than they ever wanted to spend with their kids. I find
that is correct. Yes,
for sure, there's no doubt about it.
Yeah,
and look, they're doing some of the right stuff. I mean, a portion of all proceeds will be donated to support the Neil Peart Memorial at Lakeside Park in St. Catharines, Ontario, and funds raised will support the commissioning of a public work of art in Neil's honor. Well, that's cool, and they are doing VIP experiences. There's the front row VIP experience. There's the closer to the heart VIP experience, superconductor, stick it out. There's a few different options at different price ranges, I'm sure.
Yes.
But yeah, you can go ahead and get backstage and meet them. And I assume Anika as well. I did go backstage once for Rush, and Neil did not do that. He did not participate in that.
Well, it's funny you say that because I saw a short question and answer deal with them about this tour. And at the beginning, they were standing there and they were looking at giant photos of themselves, from the 70s. And, well, what kind of camera do you think they use? I don't know, a big one. Ha ha ha. And so they were talking about, there was a picture of all 3 of them. And they said, well, what do you think? And Geddy says, I know Neil wouldn't be doing this right now. He just wasn't. That's right. He wasn't the public person. He was a very private person. Yep. He would go out and play the shows, but as far as like meet and greets, no, none of that.
That was not his thing.
Right.
And I understand.
And I don't think it was because he was a jerk. He just didn't enjoy that.
It embarrassed him. And, people are, you're the greatest drummer in the whole world, man. I love you. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
When
I haven't heard that before.
Right. In the second minute of this song, when you play, you go from this note to that note, was that oh my God. I don't know. It's just, just something
it felt
I thought
good at the time.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't put that much time into it.
It's like people asking, William Shatner questions at a Comic-Con,
Correct.
It's like, dude, stop it. Will you,
right.
Just get a real life.
It was a show, I got paid for it. Have a nice day. Yeah. It's just music. I don't think about it that much. And there were a couple of stories about that from guys who saw him out on the road when he was doing his motorcycling tours. And they would say, as long as you kept it about motorcycles or just about kind of life, he would talk to you. But yeah, don't go into anything about the band. Don't go into, I'm a huge fan. No,
I love the way you drum,
right.
blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he hated
Okay,
that. But so hopefully Anika won't be that way. And it's interesting because, Oliver Wakeman has been on our show before. Mm-hmm. It seems that Oliver has been digging up some stuff out of his vault, some mementos and things from over the years. And he came up with a backstage VIP thing for when they would do meet and greets or whatever. And he said he and Benoit David really enjoyed doing that because it's cool to get to meet people who love the band. And they were big fans of the band. Obviously, they were psyched to eventually be in Yes. Whereas, I feel like the older guys like, okay, this is just something we have to do. And it makes us a little extra money and that's fine. But I think for the new folks, it's cool. It's like fun thing to be able to really get to know these fans who love the band just like you did. So hopefully Anika won't be shy about that because there are people who are going to want to meet her and get their pictures made with her and say thank you for continuing this music that we love, even if it's just, one more time here.
Right. Well, and then that brings up another point too of where do they go in the future? I mean, Neil wrote all the lyrics. I mean, would you even try and make new music, or would that just be, what? I think
I wouldn't. Well, here's the thing. Yeah. He's a prolific writer, so he's probably got a lot of
ideas,
poems and stuff, laying around that they could use. I just wouldn't do it. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
The live shows I got no problem with, and everybody wants to see them one more time, to celebrate, because it was kind of like he was ripped away from us.
Right.
We didn't know he was sick, so they could have been working on an album as far as we knew.
Right.
After they finished that last tour, they could have been cooking up a residency or something as far as we knew. And then it was just like, okay, it's over. And then, okay, by the way, it's COVID. You can't go anywhere, so we can't even do a proper tribute to him for years. And now it's like, all right, we've got the opportunity to do so. Let's do it, and we'll do it right. And they're going to do it right. It's not going to be half-assed.
No.
The video stuff and the stuff they're going to get from Hugh to do it is going to be top-notch. By the way, the reviews on the Yes tour with the big screen with all the Roger Dean stuff coming to life have been phenomenal. So I can't wait to see that. But, Rush will be even better with the technology they have. It'll be 11 years since they last toured. And though they had a good video screen and fun stuff on there, they can do even cooler stuff now. So it'll be awesome. It'll be a spectacle. It'll be just like a Rush show back in the day. Plus, they'll have a couple of extra musicians to kind of boost the sound and really make it into something
round
special.
It out.
They won't have to pipe anything in necessarily. They'll have it all live.
I don't even want to know. Well, I do, but out of curiosity, what these shows are going to be like, because these people are rabid Mad Dog fans. They can't. It was like throwing them this giant piece of meat. These are going to sell out quick because people have been waiting for 10 years, and like you said, everybody's been in the same boat. Oh well, they'll do something. They'll do a mini tour, or they'll do a residency, or they'll do something, and then he passed and that was it. Okay, we're never going to get this again. We're going to get it again. I need to be there 10 times.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. I mentioned I've seen them 12 times. It's the band I've seen the most live. To a lot of Rush superfans, that doesn't even get you in the door.
Right.
They're counting in the hundreds of shows that they've seen. And they're like, oh, you've only seen 50 something? Oh, that's adorable. And I'm like, yeah, I've seen 12. Like, whatever, dude. You're not even a real fan. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I love those guys. I just lived in a place that they never came to, and I had to tour, travel everywhere just for a chance to see them. So this is incredible news. I am psyched about it. We'll let you know if we get tickets, obviously. I'm going to pray that it works out, and then we might have other updates. Obviously, if we go to the show, we'll do a show on it next summer.
Absolutely.
But we'll do other episodes. We haven't done an Oasis Part 2 update, so yet. Of course, we kind of figured that it would be us going to the show. But we could do a wrap-up around Christmas maybe and say, hey, this is what happened. This is what happened from the road, and there's going to be some more shows around the world next year. But look, one of my top 3 favorite bands of all time. Led Zeppelin never got to see and never will. The Stones I saw many times over the course of, 30 plus years.
Yeah.
But I always wanted to take the Wolf Cub to see Rush. I'm sorry that I'll never be able to do that. And technically I won't, but I'm going to go for 4 tickets.
Okay.
And I will bring the family. I have seen them in the United Center before, so we'll see. But I'm excited.
Fingers
about
crossed.
It.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. Well, that's our first take on Rush getting back together. Geddy and Alex saying one more time, let's do this. Let's celebrate this. Let's do it right. Let's celebrate Neil. Let's celebrate all the great music that we love. Let's bring in some more people to help us beef it up. Let's go have some fun with our friends one more time. I got to tell you, I'm really, really excited about it. And yes, we did go ahead and get tickets to one of the Chicago shows. We tried to get tickets for Saturday. They sold out very quickly. And thanks to dynamic pricing, the prices were pretty high. We're talking $800 to $1,000 just to sit downstairs. And that's not a VIP package. That's just for a ticket or two. Well, 2 for me and Jackson, 1 for the Wolf Cub, 1 for She-Wolf. I'm sorry, I'm not shelling all that out. But we did get some seats. All 4 of us are going. They're more expensive than all the 12 Rush shows that I've been to previously combined. But that's okay, because this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Certainly once-in-a-lifetime thing for my daughter. It's a great way to remember a band that I love. Going to see them in the United Center in Chicago, where we have seen them before, the She-Wolf and I. And Chicago's just a cool town, fun town to be in for a few days anyway. So you better believe that we are going to make a show out of that next summer. Maybe there'll be a build-up show. Maybe it'll be an episode about the concert itself. Depends on what kind of trouble we get into and all the fun that we have. Bottom line is, this is something that I'm looking forward to. And when you get old, folks, you got to have something to look forward to, or you just feel like it's time to make the donuts every single day, right? Just going through your midlife routine, trying to get everything done, trying to stay on top of everything. It ain't easy. You got to have something to make all that routine and all that work and all the nonsense you have to deal with to make it worthwhile. And a little Rush show is just what the doctor ordered. I thought about maybe getting some tickets to another night. Maybe Jackson and I stay a little bit longer, let the Wolf Cub and She-Wolf go home. But at these prices, hey, just be happy you get to see one, and we'll be happy to tell you about it here on the show. And we want to know, folks, did we get something right? Did we get something wrong? Did we miss the point? Did we leave out your favorite part? You got to email us and let us know. It's uglyamericanwerewolf@gmail.com. You let us know the bands, the albums, the tours, the books, the concerts, the DVDs, the rock properties you want to hear us talk about here on the show. It is imperative that you subscribe and download every episode. Those downloads are the lifeblood of growing our show, attracting more advertisers, getting more guests on, getting opportunities to go to the Rush reunion show. It's all about growing the downloads. So make sure you subscribe and download wherever you like to listen to your podcast. And if you're thinking about it, guys, please go out and give us a 5-star review. It just means the world to us. It helps us find more rockers like you. And if you send it our way, we might just read it on an episode. Thanks as always to Pantheon Podcast for making us part of the family. And thanks to our sponsor, rarevinyl.com, where you use the code UGLY, you can save 10% off one entire order. And that includes box sets and 40th anniversary box sets. And I'm sure they will eventually have a copy of the Grace Under Pressure 40th anniversary box set, which Hugh Syme dropped the information that he had just submitted all his artwork for that. So that's something that should be coming. I don't know if it'll come before the holidays or early 2026, but it'll be something to look forward to as well from the Holy Triumvirate. Now, a duo with a friend helping out. That's it for this week, folks. There might be more Rush updates. There's definitely going to be some more album reviews. There'll be some fun interviews coming up, so you've got to stay tuned. Until next time, to all you rockers all around the world, be cool and keep doing what you do to keep rock alive.